Right now, we have managed to extract some audio data which is usable. We know that it pertains to that particular flight. So that's good news, but it's still too early, however, to be able to draw any conclusions whatsoever from this. After this, on the basis of that audio record, audio recording, work will have to be undertaken in order to try and interpret correctly those sounds. This is all I can tell you. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm sorry that we were so late, but the time now for a few questions. RTL, you said that you were able to extract some audio records that can be used. Is this data that is taken up until the time of impact? The data contains all the elements involving the accident. Were the pilots speaking? Well, I cannot tell you right now. We haven't carried out an analysis of all the sounds and all of the words that can be heard in that audio record. I told you we've just found that audio record. It is usable. It does contain sounds, but that are usable. How long will you need in order to be able to get to some more specific data, more specific information? It's very difficult to tell at this juncture. The cockpit voice recorder cannot be analyzed just by itself. You also have to take into account the flight parameters. I hope that we will have those as quickly as possible. Also, we need to be able to understand the sounds, the alarms, the voices, attributing the voices to the various people involved. This takes some time. This is very fastidious work. After a few days, you have a first approximation, some rough idea that you have after a few days, but then you have to work on that and fine-tune everything so as to be able to have a true transcript that is as faithful as possible, a rendition of what actually happened. And this is the kind of work that takes at least a few weeks, perhaps even months. Were they talking to each other in German or in English? I cannot answer that yet. You have the whole duration of the flight in those recordings? From the beginning up until the time of the crash? Well, at this juncture, I cannot give you very specific information about the duration of the recordings. Can you tell us a little bit more about this audio record? How many minutes of recorded voices? I do not have any specific data to give you right now as to the duration of the recording, the language use, etc. So please don't ask any questions about that. Do we need for you to have analyzed the whole of the tape and the whole of the sounds, or will you be able to give us some information as to the dialogue between the pilots? We will try and give you information as the investigation goes on. As soon as we get our hands on information coming from the cockpit voice recorder or any other type of data source, that is clear.
Oui, allez-y, je vous en prie.
Bonjour, Delphine Touitou de l'AFP.
There's some persistent rumors according to which you may have located already the second black box, which apparently has been fragmented into several pieces and therefore would not be usable. Can you say anything about this? Those rumors are unfounded. We haven't located the second black box. We haven't found any scattered debris of the black box. And in the history of air accidents, we do know of recorders that have been badly damaged and dented, but I cannot, from memory, tell you that there has been any recorder that has been so badly scattered and shattered.
Go ahead.
Can I ask you a question in English?
So, can you tell us exactly, specify in English, what this data that you have found on the first black box shows and when we can expect additional information to be made available to the public?
As I said in French earlier, we just succeeded in getting an audio file which contains usable sounds and voices. We have not yet fully understood and worked on it to be able to say, okay, this is starting at this precise point in flight, this is ending at this precise point in flight, and we hear such person saying that, etc. This is an ongoing work for which we hope to have a first rough ideas in a matter of days, and having a full understanding of it in conjunction with other information coming in particular from other recorded parameters will take weeks and even months.
Sébastien Guyot, Europe 1. Sur la deuxième boîte noire, le chef de l'État.
About the second black box, the French president said that the casing had been found. Well, I cannot confirm that piece of information. We don't have any elements that would enable us to sustain that. Are you optimistic that at least on the basis of that first audio file you can make progress? Well, I'm optimistic that we already have a usable audio file. Now, the site of the crash is 1 or 2 hectares. Is big, but it's not huge. We're combing through that site very carefully. We will obviously find the data recorder. Data recorders are very sturdy pieces of equipment, so we're fairly optimistic that we will get it in good shape, good enough for it to be usable. Do you have anything pointing towards depressurizing of the cabin? At this particular juncture, we don't even have the beginning of a scenario. Without getting down to details, I cannot give you an intellectual interpretation that may be totally erroneous and leading to sudden loss of pressure. I will refrain from that.
Je ne sais pas construire et je m'interdis de chercher
I'm saying that I cannot build such a scenario. I will refrain from talking about this. There's nothing that we can say right now that would point in that direction. So, to confirm, you've been able to hear, at least quickly, the audio file. Well, not me, but my team. Fine. You've heard it, and so that means that the pilots had not lost consciousness. It was the pilots talking. No, I cannot tell you anything about it. I cannot tell you who it is. I have nothing I can add to this. But from what you saw, thanks to the radar data, as to the curve of descent, is that an indication of a plane that has lost control or is still under the control of pilots? Well, that curve may be compatible with a plane that is still controlled by pilots, even though, obviously, one cannot possibly think of a pilot sending the planes straight into the side of the mountain, but it could have been an automatic pilot. But at this particular juncture, again, I can advance no explanation. Why we cannot say any more, as you asked? Well, that audio file, it's only been in our possession for a few minutes, and in a few minutes, by just listening to voices, we cannot say it's the crew, is the captain, is the co-pilot. We need time in order to be able to analyze that carefully. And it's not easy. I cannot give you any further comments about this. So you're ruling out foul play. Well, at this particular point, I'm not ruling out any thesis, any hypothesis. I'm not in a position to confirm anything right now.
Frédéric Beniada, France Info. Je suis là. Sur le taux de descente, vous confirmez environ 3000 pieds minute.
3,000 feet per minute was the rate of descent. Yes, around 3,000, 3,500.
C'est ce que vous avez vu sur la trajectoire aussi.
And the route, it did not veer from the route, no,
Hello,
it did
Thomas
not.
Adamson from Associated Press. Could I ask you another
Je
question?
précise que ces informations, ce n'est pas des paramètres
Now, I
enregistrés.
tell you that this
C'est
is
des
not
données
the
radar.
recorded
Donc, c'est avec une
parameters.
précision qui est celle de données radar.
Can I ask you another question in English?
Yes.
Some experts have been hypothesizing about what might have been in the cargo check of this plane. I wanted to know if you had any information. There was some rumor about lithium batteries being present in this aeroplane. Do we know at all what was in the cargo check? Do we have any hypothesis about what that might have influenced?
At the present time, we have no information of that. Obviously, this is the kind of information which will be collected in the course of investigation if there is any doubt that this could have been a factor in the event.
J'ai une autre question, si vous permettez.
Oui, Tim.
Donc l'enquête a lieu ici.
The investigation will take place here and on the site, but there are many politicians and leaders coming. There was a press conference that took place at the same time as yours. There are CEOs from major companies. Don't you think that this will upset the unfolding, the proper, quiet, calm unfolding of the investigation?
Nous avons une catastrophe majeure.
Where we've had a major catastrophe.